On the way there, I started to see the bodies on the side of the road. And despite my brother being injured, I understood that there is something way bigger that is going on. Something we've never seen before. October 7 was in my house. And the first thing I was receiving was the video from Sderot of the terrorist in a pickup truck shooting a police car. So for me it was an extremely weird moment, because despite being used to terror attack, we never saw something like that inside Israel territory, people with guns like this. So I was doing the same thing that I always do when there is a terror attack in Israel. I'm going down to my car and driving to my unit, to my reserve unit. I'm a reserve operator. I'm not in active duty. So as I was heading down south, I was starting to receive messages from my brothers. So we are a family of 5 boys. And I started to receive messages of goodbye and messages of come to rescue us. So 3 of my brothers were at the Nova Music Festival. And I couldn't quite understand what was going on, but I decided to go to my unit and to drive to their location with the first available team. And I did just that, and midway towards my injured brother location, and I received a call from the radio from one of the commanders in the unit saying that we should go to kibbutz Be'eri, because there is something bigger going on here. And I faced probably one of the most difficult decisions I had to face in my life, whether to go to my injured brother location or to go to kibbutz Be'eri to trying to solve something huge that is going on. Eventually I decided to go to kibbutz Be'eri because on the way there I started to see the bodies on the side of the road. And despite my brother being injured, I understood that there is something way bigger that is going on. Something we've never seen before. And we head to kibbutz Be'eri, and on the way there, we encounter 3 of those pickup trucks full of Hamas terrorists on the back. And they shoot at us very heavily fire with the machine guns and everything. We were at an armed vehicle, but still the vehicle got out of control and couldn't keep going. Fortunately for us, the pickup trucks just kept driving. We were able to get out of the vehicle and start to walk to kibbutz Be'eri through the forest that is surrounding it. When we got to the blood road, the highway surrounding the kibbutzes, and we decided to do an ambush for those pickup trucks, and once they arrived, we basically shot them. Next thing for us was to go inside kibbutz Be'eri, and inside of it we saw all the atrocities that you guys are reporting on. From children, women, men, elderly people that been slaughtered, that been shot in their living room, in the streets of the kibbutz, everywhere. A lot of burned houses, and a lot of smell of blood and fire. And also a lot of sights that probably will stick with me forever. And there was many incidents that we encountered the civilians that were hidden inside their shelters, and the rest of their family are butchered in the living room. So it was a very tough day, and we had so many firefights with the terrorists. There were hundreds of them. At the end of the day, they found 110 of terrorist bodies inside the kibbutz, but there was also a lot that came in and went out with hostages towards Gaza. So this was a very long day for me, and eventually I found out that my family is safe, and they were rushed into the hospital and they are fine. And my injured brother also survived this, and this was what made me enter this war. From there I went with my team up north, ready for anything that's going to be similar to what happened on October 7, but on the north border. And after that, we went down south, in and out of Gaza, searching for leads to where the hostages were. Spent many time in Shifa Hospital and in other places around this area. We found some bodies of hostages. We had Gazan civilians just taking bodies. Civilians that got nothing to do with Hamas, but they buried a body of hostages in their yard, in their house yard. We found in the freezer where they keep the bodies of the hospital, like every hospital, you know, just to keep the bodies intact until they will go to a proper burial. And we found in one of those freezers also bodies of hostages. But the main event was when we found actually a lead to where one compound that was a hostage transfer location. It means that the hostages got into this house and then from there went to the tunnel. And we decided to raid this house and to try to save whoever was in. We planned for this operation, and I was supposed to be the first one to enter the room. And I knew there was a good chance that I'm either going to get injured or going to get killed. And because of that, I just took a sheet of paper and I set my affairs in order and wrote letters to my loved ones and make everything clear in my mind that I will go with a clear heart into it. So midnight we raid this compound, and this is where I got injured. During an intense firefight, a grenade blew up next to me. And after my body hit the ground from the grenade blast, I got shot several times from an internal room in the house. I was lying on the floor, and my primary weapon, the barrel, had bullets that was stuck in the barrel, which can show you how close the bullets went next to us. So I couldn't shoot my main rifle, so I just grabbed a grenade of my own and threw it to the room where I was shot from. And after that, there was like a big explosion, then just quiet and darkness. The team was outside of the house. They didn't understand what was going on because they heard the explosion and they heard the bullets. So they waited out, and for me, it was 2 minutes, but it felt like eternity. I felt that I was alone, and maybe they left. So the next decision for me was to commit a suicide, because I understood there is no way that they're going to take me like this into Gaza tunnels or something, because my legs were in such a bad shape, and I had shreds all over my stomach. I couldn't crawl and couldn't do anything. There was a pool of blood that was getting higher and higher. And I had a pistol on the side that I took with me, and I remember really trying to get to the pistol, and I couldn't do it. Fortunately, I couldn't do it. Next thing for me was that I lost conscious, and from there, my team gave suppressing fire, pulled me out of the building, and from there to the cars, and then to the helicopter. And in the helicopter, we were 6 injured people, and the doctors had to make tough decisions because they prioritize who would survive this event, and this is who they're going to give treatment to because they have a limited amount of resource. So if someone, suppose, won't make it, like potentially won't make it, so they won't waste those resources on him. So they declared that I'm not going to make it, so they just put me on the side of the helicopter. But again, on some miraculous way, I got to the hospital, and over a period of 7 days, they were able to stabilize me. I woke up after 7 days, and I started to hit the nose and to rip everything from me because they never told me that the fight's over. They do this thing, they have this procedure. When you get to the helicopter, they tell you, that's it, we are now turning into a medical aid. The fight is over. Never told me that. So they put me on handicap into the bed, and from there I started my long journey into recovery. It took me a very long time to understand if I'm alive or dead. I had a lot of difficulties with it. And during this long recovery, it was one of the most traumatic times of my life, because every hour and a half I had morphine injection into my vein, and I didn't have the attention for a song, for a conversation, for a movie, nothing, because there was so much pain and I was screaming all the time. But gradually things got better and better. And just 2 days before my arrival here, I got out of the hospital. I still have 7 surgeries to go, and I will be disabled for the rest of my life because of this event. You can see me walking with crutches, the best case walking stick, but still, I have totally not regrets for what happened. It was just where I was supposed to be, and in many ways, it's one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because it gave a lot of power to my life, being so close to death and then living. It's just make all the important things in life that we also share in common, like love and family. It makes it more clear. My decision to come here on October 7 was the least that I can do, because obviously I can't go back to be on combat duty anymore. And I do think that those are historic times for us in Israel. When I studied my MBA, I had 4 people from Gaza crossing the border every Thursday to come to study with us, And after October 7, they posted posts about, supporting October 7 atrocities. It wasn't just the magnitude, it was, our entire feeling of safety in Israel was torn into pieces. It wasn't just about the hostages and about people died horrible deaths. It was also, in a sense, the ability of my granddaughter and grandson to go safely to a music festival, or to live up north to some towns that are not in conflict areas, that are inside Israeli territory, and to live safely. This is all completely shredded. I think that it's still challenging time, because we are still facing the same question. How can we ensure a better future for our children? Because if we are, for instance, go to a ceasefire now, it's just like going to October 6th, So it's like you're always going to wait to the next bad thing that is going to happen. October 7, I think that it's changed everything, because when we established the State of Israel, obviously there were a lot of terror attacks. There were the intifadas and everything, suicide bombers and stuff. But we never had doubt about the wholeness of Israel, It was never a danger of existence, And I think that this is the first time in our nation history, maybe 67 and Yom Kippur come close to it, but it's the first time ever since that there were questions about it. I know people that actually left the country. They said, we don't want to know, what's true, what's not, Zionism, nothing. We just don't want part of it. We want quiet. We want our kids to grow safely. What I think should happen, I think that the world should wake up. Because, I grew up on Churchill, we're in the UK, and all this Chamberlain peace in 1938. And right now you see sovereign countries like Iran, like Yemen, declaring they want the destruction of the land of Israel. You have Gazan people that obviously there are innocents in them, but vast majority in the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip supporting Hamas and what they did. So the world to wake up is just to call evil, evil, Not just for our sake, but for the Lebanese people's sake, for the Iranian people's sake, and for the Palestinian people's sake, that are being used in a very cynical way. Listen, I was there. I saw in the most innocent places weapons and stuff that you couldn't even imagine. So my hope is obviously for peace in the region. There is no doubt about it. I don't think there is any doubt in any Israeli mind about it, but not in any terms. I think that obviously I want the hostages to go back home, and I want what the hostages represent, which is not just them go back home, but as I said, about my children and my grandchildren to be able to live freely in the state of Israel. And so I think it's a new reality in the Middle East these days. And I hope for better security, to tell you the truth. Like if I used to care more about countries' ambitions, about living coexistence, we learned something that we learned back in the Holocaust, that we can rely only on ourselves. So we want security, we want to live free in our country.